Hello and good morning, everyone. Only positivity here. I have my coffee with me, ready to explore this new phase of life with you all. So, over the past few years, I have gained a whole new perspective on life, and I've realized that life is too short to not be enjoying yourself while doing great things. So, come along with me as I explore this new lens through fitness, photography, reading, traveling, cannabis, and much more. Looking forward to the journey, guys, and remember, only positivity.
Oops.
And we are off. We're live. Kupah James, what's good, my bro? How are you doing today,
What's
son?
up, everybody? We're feeling all right. We out here, we alive, we breathing.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
good?
yeah, yeah. Good stuff, man. Dude, I'm super excited to do this. But before anything, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to Mrs. Jenny Lynn for setting us up today, man. She's a real champ in this one right here, bro.
Hell yeah, big Jenny Lynn. She is around here somewhere for all the coordination, all the logistics. If you're looking for assistance in this ambassador influencer world, hit up this person. Everybody needs a Jenny Lynn. Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, you can speak better experience than I can, but dude, she's been so great throughout this whole process, man. Really communicative, really energetic, dude. And from what I'm seeing on Instagram, man, she's behind the scenes doing a lot of work for you, dude. So it seems like she's the one, homie.
Yeah, she's invaluable for sure. We've been best friends for 12, I think 12 going on 13 years.
Yeah.
And you have two personalities. We have a goal, we have a dream, we have an idea, and it's just fitting into roles, right? Like she does what she does, I do what I do. It's a great partnership. Very
Yep.
lucky to have her.
Yes, sir. A little yin yang action going on, no
Oh
doubt,
yeah.
dude. Yes, sir. Dude. So you know what I'll do here, bro? I'm gonna set a timer for 1 hour because I know we got only an hour today. I definitely want to be
Go.
cognizant of your time, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit start, and let's just dive in, my dude. Um, so first off, man, again, aside from all the thank yous and stuff like that, I know you're doing your stuff on Instagram. I see you every day live, elevator dancing, bro, out at the Aloe Mansion, dude, doing your thing, bro. It's like, hey, energy is contagious. But we'll get to that at the tail end of this, right? So
Cool.
what I hope to start with is just a little bit about little Kupah James, if we can go all the way back there, and maybe even before Kupah James. So tell me a little bit about your background, where you're from, ethnicity, things like that, because I see you got some brown in you, my dude. So definitely want to hear about where the parents came from, if they had an immigrant journey. Dive in, my dude.
My man, that's a great introduction. Well, thank you for having me as well. And I'm looking forward to the next 55 minutes or so, right?
Yes, sir.
Where I'm back at the beginning. Recently I said this to Jenny, and I'm going to say this on your podcast first. I may use this later on, but like, imagine a little boy named Jimmy Lee Cooper. My mother's from Puerto Rico, immigrated here when she was young. My father is from the South. He's from North Carolina, Rocky Mount to be specific. They linked up. They swapped spit a couple times. Here I am. And my dad wasn't around for too much of the journey. They couldn't really figure it out. So my mom was for sure the one taking care of the business. And then I was born and raised in Lowell, Nashua, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, like that area.
Hence the Boston Celtics fan.
Hence the Celtics fan. Let's go, right?
Let's go. Yes.
And so look, man, I had a difficult childhood, one full of a lot of laughter and fun stuff and affection and communication, but also full of like bullying, racism, poverty, single parent abuse. So there was, you just have this balance. Everybody has a story, right? Everybody does. How we all bounce back or cope with those things, determines who we're going to be moving forward, right? So, and I'm happy to unpack all of those things. There's no secrets here. But I fast forward to my college days, and I was going through some tough times, and that's when I was having a really hard moment. And at the time, there weren't a lot of Instagram influencers, ambassadors. There weren't mantras. There weren't like daily memes all day.
Yeah.
It was just, you're having a shitty day, bro. You're having a shitty day. It's just a shitty day, right? And I was in my college room. I'm watching 8 Crazy Nights. And I say
Sandler.
that because there's a lot of connections. One, he's an East Coast guy. Two, his movies for all the pros and cons, a lot of them have heart. He does a good job with some heart, right?
Yep.
So I'm watching 8 Crazy Nights, and it must have been the moment where people get goosebumps, get a little emotional, and I start losing my mind. I start crying and shit. And what was happening was I was in this space where the world felt difficult, and I didn't know where to go, who to turn to, what to do. So the questions are, why am I broke? Why am I unhappy in this relationship?
Yeah.
Why am I this? Why am I that? Gabby's even asking questions like, why did I have to be black? It's difficult fucking being a brown person in certain areas, right? It's just different things to worry about adversely or comparatively as a female, which I can't speak on, but just speaking to like the other perspectives, right? As a female, as a person who's a homosexual, right? Like it's difficult for people in these categories. And so I was like, why am I this? Why am I that? Why am I black? Why this? And ultimately, and I do consider myself lucky for sure, but ultimately a different voice came from that despair.
Yeah.
And that voice was, why am I so broke? Why is life so hard? Why am I black? Why couldn't I have two parents?
Yeah.
And it turned into, well, why are you so broke? And it was, well, you don't have a lot more money because you don't work enough hours. You can get a different job. You can work overtime. You can get more jobs. So I could just use that example just to express my point, which is my mind shifted from a little bit of the maybe of the victimization I felt from life in the world to it was a choice, but it was well, I'm going to approach the world and not let the world just deliver onto me, right? Like,
Yep.
I'm going to show up to this world. I'm going to change certain things, the things I can change. I'm going to take that and make those changes. And it's easier I've used this comparison a lot in my life. Are you familiar with the game Othello?
I am. That's what's so
no one ever talks about Othello. I get
it.
So
yeah.
The name of the game is to turn pieces, right? So I've used this analogy many times, which is, you can only control what you can control. You know this, I know this. Positive thinking is the choice. It isn't always like, you don't just always wake up happy. Some days you wake up like, not today, right? But you can choose, right? You can choose to start to migrate that energy into a positive place, right? So with Othello, for me, the things I'm able to control, I was able to compartmentalize. Well, I can control my employment status. I can control my relationship status. And so by flipping those two pieces over, it created a momentum.
Yeah.
And it was easier to flip more pieces over. Or if I got 5 black pieces, if I can flip over 3 of them, 2 black pieces is a lot more manageable than 5.
Correct.
You feel me?
Yes, sir.
So instead of feeling like a victim of the world and what it was doing onto me, I turned myself into an offensive juggernaut. And I mean, those 2 words will stay with me forever. So for me, when you think of Kupah James, you think make moves, energy, fitness, that stuff, right? The
swag
stuff,
yeah.
Right, thank you, right? But for me, my center is like offensive juggernaut. Like, I'm not waiting for the world to throw it. I'm showing up to the world to give it.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's a quick little born here, raised here. I'm half black, half Puerto Rican. I wish I spoke Spanish, but my mother, it wasn't in the household. I think that there was a lot of times when your parents are not American, right? They are aspiring for their children to have better opportunities.
Correct.
That's why they're here. So English is king in the house. English, right? It's not, let's teach you both. It's English. Learn the language of this land. So I wish that it wasn't the case, because I would have, if I could speak Spanish, bro, the game would be over.
It would be all over, dude. Yeah. Hey, dude, if you were dipping in and out, dude, like, come on now. You know what I'm saying?
So I do what I can with the English.
Hey,
it's working
dude.
so far. It's doing all right.
Yeah, dude. Well, let's stop there for a second. Let's start opening some things up, man. So this whole situation about, taking back some of the control, right? Where you thought things were happening to you, man, and they were, and you said, one day they're not going to happen to me anymore. I'm going to make things happen, right? So was there a straw that broke the camel's back? Was there an event where you said, hey, look, like, I've been feeling some type of way. now this thing happened and I'm done. New me, I'm having the rebirth, I'm having the awakening?
I think I played college ball,
Yeah.
D3. I mean, it was back then. If you play sports, you have a soccer jersey on. Did you play football back in the day,
Yeah,
or
definitely. I played in
still, or
college as
still?
well. Yeah, I
Yeah, right.
play
So
now
like,
too.
you know, athletes, it's a culture, right? Like that's a thing. When you're into a sport, you're into a sport. So basketball was big for me. I was having a difficult time with our coach. It felt like he was trying to change he was trying to put his name on the thing, right? So
Yep.
I was a senior. I think four of six seniors didn't make it that full year. It felt like there was a shift change, right? He
Yeah.
was trying to change the regime a bit, and more power to him. But at 20 years old, we're just battling, right? He had his ethos, I had my ethos, and we were in a practice, and a basketball practice, of course. And at the end of the practice, one of my teammates fouled another one of my teammates pretty hard. And I was like, yo, like that's way too much. And my
Yeah.
coach was like, no, that's what it takes to win. He was going full out. And I was like, it's practice. I go full out, but you don't want to hurt your teammates.
Definitely.
And so we ended up having this big fight. Like it was me and my coach. We were fighting. I was a captain.
Yeah.
So we were fighting. The practice was over, and like fighting like your teammates were like, "Yo, Cooper, calm down." And I was like, fuck that, fuck this, you're
Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
bro. And he was saying stuff like, "You don't know what it takes to win." And I'm like, "You mother!" I mean, it was. We were just we're going back and forth. So at the time, I was also dating a girl that was pretty toxic. So those two things I remember vividly. It was within 5 days. I'd quit the team, and
Nice.
I'd had that epiphany. So that was a tough moment because I walked away from basketball essentially in that moment.
Yeah, yeah, you're giving up some of the things you love and know for a long time, and that your familiar zone,
Yeah.
right? And these are all really helpful for me, man. So I really appreciate you sharing this stuff. And before we go any farther back, like, on that note about competition, man, like I think competition is a good thing to a certain degree, right? Like when you're up in the morning doing your thing, and I'm like, yo, what am I doing? Am I up? Am I out and about? Am I getting my steps in? Am I getting my work in? That's a good level of competition where we're building each other up, right? And then there's that toxic level of competition where it's like, no, I'm gonna be better than you, and the only way I'm gonna get ahead is by putting you down. And I don't think anyone should be really teaching that type of shit because at the end of the day, yeah, sports is an industry and you learn from it, but you learn to care for your brothers, right? You learn to care for your team, and that's where success is, man. So I'm happy you said fuck it to that guy, man. You don't need that type of shit in your life. You know what I'm saying? Your whole thing is built on uplifting others now. So look at you, bro. Fuck them, man. But in any case, man, not to get all cathartic about that, but so if we go back to when Mama James came over from Puerto Rico, right? So she came here, and she you said she settled where?
She was in Massachusetts.
She was in Massachusetts. Now in Massachusetts, what was her lifestyle like that you can remember from when you were a kid?
Well, her life before, my mother had from what I remember,
Yeah.
she had a troubled childhood herself. There
Okay.
was, she was outside a lot. She started back in the day, smoking cigarettes was like, it was
Right.
bad. It was so bad. So she started smoking at a young age, hung out on the streets a bit. She was like a street smart kind of woman, really sassy, knew the police enough, like she was involved, just around it a little bit.
Yep.
Didn't get along with the folks too much. There are she has 7 siblings total.
Yep.
She's somewhere in the middle. And man, my mother, she was bomb when I was a kid. She was so dope. She's a young mom. She was pregnant with me at 19.
Wow.
So she's only 20 years older than me. So I'm 39. She's 59.
Wow.
She's young. Yeah, she's young. So,
yeah.
But she was like, when you're growing up with a young mom, you have a young mom. So you have a mom that's still hip, trendy, knows what's going on. And so in that regard, it was so dope having a younger mom because, I mean, I was a mama's boy too, but what oldest boy isn't a mama's boy?
Right. 100%.
Yeah, I get as an adult, like there's mama's boys, but like every boy is a mama's boy for a couple of years.
Yeah, at
So
least.
she was my best friend. We were super close. I remember her being funny, sense of humor, witty, very independent, very you know, today you would say no fucks given, you know? So like if the fries weren't hot, she was going back in the store like, I want hot fries. Can I
Let's
get some hot fries?
go.
That was my mom.
Hell yeah.
That was the, and you were embarrassed, like, oh my
Right,
God.
right. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and now I'm the dude, like, my fries are cold. Can I get some hot fries?
Warm their shits
So,
up, dude.
you learn that shit. So she was bomb back then. That's what I remember about her the most. Sense of humor, independent. She was the mom and the dad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And she was fair. It felt like she taught fair in the house.
Very good, very good. And what was her schedule like?
As a mom,
Yeah, like I'm
my
assuming being the
mother,
single mom situation, she's probably working a lot, you know what I mean? Doing her thing for the family and, maybe potentially, letting you figure things out on your own too, as well,
all kind of the opposite. My
Okay.
mother she was a home mom. She was home. So we were raised on a bunch of government programs like welfare, Section 8 food stamps,
Wow.
all of those things, right? For me to play basketball as a kid, other families would pay for me to register. I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So it was tough in that department, right? Like we didn't have a lot of resources. So she was home. So she thought it was important to be home with her kids because devil makes work for idle hands. A lot of kids where the parents are working 9 to 5. I can't say this for all kids, right? But like,
Right.
it's not uncommon when kids are left to their own devices, they get into shit,
Yes.
right? It's just,
correct.
right, peer pressure is more prevalent. And my mother was home. So she had her finger so tight on my pulse that, it was very militant growing up.
Nice. Okay.
She had to know you and know your parents and like your parents, or I couldn't hang out with you.
Yep.
That's just how it went.
Yes, sir.
So she was very much involved in my life. She was at all my games. So her schedule was pretty much her kid's schedule. She was with us all the time. She started to work as we got older. And then I don't think my mother likes authority that much. So I don't think the 9 to 5 job was her bag.
Yep.
I think as an adult now, and not to take credit from her, I love that she was home with us because the things I learned and that were instilled in me with a mom who was there all the time, I wasn't able to go in one ear and out the other. It was like in one ear and repeated, and it stayed here because she was right there to go, I just told you to finish cleaning your room, versus like the parent who says that and then goes to work. My mother was in the house. So I wouldn't change that. But as I got older, it felt like maybe she doesn't like working as much as much as so.
Well, dude, you're just doing the
better.
objectivity, right? You just gotta objectively do a little deep dive on that, man. That's what we're here for, bro. You know what I'm saying? Dude, I feel you, man. And that's interesting. I never, when you were describing to me your story at the high level, I was thinking maybe, there's going to be a little bit of like, she's busy providing for the family. And there's a little bit of neglect there, maybe causing you to, like you're saying, the stereotypical stuff, man. But on a comical note, what was her view on sleepovers, dude? No go on those, or were you allowed to go out to those things? My mom was a hell no on those, dude.
Word? She was no?
He was like, dude, come back. I'll come get you at 10, dude.
Oh no, my mom. I think my mom loved being a mother, but I also think she enjoyed like her free time, right? Because she was a young mom.
She was young.
So my mother, I remember, let's say 10 to 13. She would still maybe more like 8 to 13. She would still go to nightclubs. You know what I'm saying? She was only like 28. With an 8-year-old. It sounds crazy, but it's like she was 28 with an 8-year-old. So she would still go to nightclubs, and we'd have babysitter. Like I remember those days. But for me, sleeping out, I don't think she minded. But again, it was like I have to know. It's Amar. It's not Amar. It's Amr.
It's Amr. Yeah.
Amr. So she'd be like, I have to know Amr. I have to know his parents. And if she knew and liked your parents, she'd ask on the phone, hey, I know Cooper and Amr are talking about having sleepovers. Is it cool? And then if it was all Gucci, then it was cool. I didn't mind it. I love being outside the house. So she was strict, but not about sleepovers. But she had to know the parents.
Gotcha. And and then so something you had mentioned earlier, man. By the way, you do not seem 39, my dude. I was gonna guess 30-ish, around there, man. You got the young soul in you, bro. I was like, this dude's only a year or two older than me, man. But dude,
I
anywho,
appreciate that.
do you have kids, by the way, Koopa?
Negative.
Negative. Okay. So
No.
so you let me know. Did any of your mom's stuff, right? Any of that stuff impact your decisioning on starting up a family? And if not, so the traditional path is like, right, at a certain point, 34, 35, wherever you're at, right? Have a kid, start the family, things like that. And I'm always interested to hear folks who aren't walking the traditional path, right? Like yourself, like myself. Tell me, get me in there, man. What is your view on that type of situation? Like, what are you rooting for? Like, what's your legacy, if you got one, or anything like that? What are you trying to do, man?
Well, I'll start with the kid thing.
Yeah.
Yes, my childhood, and of course, everybody's situation is different. This is my experience.
Yeah.
For me, a couple of things with the kid thing. One, my childhood was taken from me at a young age, so I felt robbed. So now I don't want to, I want to play. As an adult, I want to play.
Yes,
Speaks
sir.
to my personality, the choices I make. I drive a motorcycle for a living. Like, I'm an adult child. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
dude.
that's one thing. And then as far as having kids, I love children. I love inspiring. I love educating. I love being a part of. I love teams. I love that shit. But this world is a little janky these days. It just doesn't excite me to think about bringing children into a world that's this polarizing. And I've been here for 39 years. And yes, we can all say it's getting better, but it feels like it's getting worse. So
Wow.
I'm not really on the boat of like, I have to bring kids in just because. People often say, you'd be such a great father. And I'm like, did you think I was doubting my ability to be a father? It's a choice not to be a father. I think I'd be a phenomenal father.
Right.
I just don't know if I want to bring children with 1, 2, whatever it is. I also am not swearing it off. My lifestyle is, should I find a woman who knocks my socks off? It could be a conversation, but I for sure I'm not anticipating it. I'm not planning on it. It's not something that I'm like, oh, once I find a woman, I will then start a family. I'm fine just jumping on a jet, being like, when you're off work at 6, I'll meet you at the airport. Let's go. Get out of here. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Yo, dude, that's inspiring as fuck, dude. I really appreciate that, man. That's some real honesty there, dude. And I resonate with a lot of that, dude. And one thing, you'll hear a lot is people are just so dead ass that's the step, right? They're like, yep, you got to have hey man, this is what you do. And I'm like, that in itself doesn't seem like it's really there for you, right? Let's say if you're kind of like, that's just what I'm like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's things I could tell you that I do want to do, for a matter of fact. Like, I do want to go travel. I do like working out every day. I do want to connect with people. I'm super dead ass about that. But if you give me a kind of shrug and like, I'm going to do this, what the fuck? Get away from me, dude, because like, you don't need that kind of energy in your life anyway. Right. And there's so many different outcomes, man. There's so many different outcomes in life. And when I meet people like you, when I talk to different people, I'm like, yo, people are still doing great things. They're still inspiring. And if, like you said, if we want to be fathers, anything we committed to, we would be excellent in it. So I would be a great father, but I just don't want to commit to that. I want to commit to doing something else, something that brings me fulfillment. And like you said, you feel a little bit slighted from your childhood, rectify the shit, right? Come forward, do your thing, be a child now, just like you're saying, man. So again, man, you're knocking my socks off right now, bro. So we're fucking out here. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's go back a little bit more, right? So as you become like an adolescent, right? Kupah James, middle school, high school. How did some of these things, like, not having the dad around and, the mom still being up on you all day, how does that affect you growing up into your adult years?
Well, my adolescence, I was raised around a lot of middle-class people.
Okay.
With the government aid programs, for anybody who listens to this who is unaware, right, like housing is one of them, Section 8. So they pay the majority of a family's rent who can't otherwise pay for it, which allows you to live in a better neighborhood because it's a higher rent, right?
Right.
So, or else I would have lived in the projects. So I wasn't raised in the projects. I was raised in like middle class.
Yep.
And so what ended up happening was, yes, I wasn't in the hood or in the projects, but I was surrounded by people who had more than I had. And so even though it was good for me not to learn some of those antics, I grew up feeling less about myself because if I looked around, I always had less than everybody else around me.
Yeah.
So the downside to living in the middle class was that my identity was attached to my monetary status. And so my identity struggled because I felt poor. So I felt like I was poor in my identity. And then I was bullied in middle school, picked on quite a bit, and then a little bit of racism. So again, everybody has a story, and I could have gone different directions with each one of these experiences, but and we can get into this in a second, but like I had some pretty particular and specific role models, persons of guidance, athletes, whatever it was, right? And I just attached myself to those things, or else I for sure would be a different human being.
Yeah.
So the bullying thing, the poverty thing, the racism thing, that was all in my adolescent years.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't Puerto Rican. I didn't speak Spanish. I'm too articulate to be Black.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
You
All
gotta
right.
fucking love that bullshit. I'm not a fan
Get
of
out
that
of
narrative
here.
at all.
Yeah.
So you're in high school and middle school and you're kind of lost. I was made fun of by my own races, Black and Puerto Ricans alike. I got picked on more from them than white people. But then I got racism from like older white people, like parents or coaches or organizations. So it was just weird dynamic for me. Look, you could be shitty and wear any skin. I don't give a shit what color your skin is. If you suck, you suck. You know what I'm saying? So I have preconceived notions, but I think that they're funny. Like if you're Jewish, I'm like, oh, are you cheap? I think that's hilarious. I don't think that makes you a lame person. I'm like, oh, so you're cheap. If you're Asian, I'll drive.
You're a bad driver. Let's go.
Like, I'll drive.
Yeah, dude.
But then also there's Asians that are like fast and furious motherfucker doing like, donuts in traffic. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? So preconceived notions all day. Acting on those preconceived notions is what makes you a piece of shit to me. So, when you have those experiences as a kid and how terrible you feel, how lost you can feel as a person. Not that you were asking this question, but as an adult, for sure it's part of my ethos you spoke on legacy earlier. Part of what I want to do while I'm alive is just essentially hold space for other motherfuckers. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you came from, but if it's fitness related, I don't even care. I just know that for these 45 minutes, we're going to get busy and we're going to all work collectively and explore universal commonalities. Right? So universally, you could come from a different religion, but we're both hitting these burpees, right? Culturally, maybe you kiss men on both cheeks. Sure, hit these push-ups. Like in this room, bro, the culture is we work. Your work is your status, right?
Yes, sir.
How much work you put into yourself, into the workout. So, and it's not for me, it's for you. When you do the workout, you should feel proud about 30 push-ups or 35 push-ups. It's for me to give you a high five and I can co-sign it, but motherfucker, that's your juice, right? So the way I approach the world is to be a coach that is not a preachy coach. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm living the life I'm talking about. And I'm telling you, hey, maybe you don't like that 9-to-5 job. You could change it, but you got to have that conversation internally. Yeah. And I'm happy to be right next to you and talk shit, but like, it has to be for me, it has to be from within. Because then when it's intrinsic, I think the longevity of it lasts longer and you reap the rewards. If I make you, right, you're never going to be as excited as I am because I made you. But if you make you, that's yours. No one can take that shit from you.
Yes, sir, dude. That is yes. That is so good, man. That is gold right there, bro. Are you guys listening to this? Like, man, dude. Oh man, let's go into that a little bit, dude. All right. So you say this thing about let's start at the back, the racism thing, right? Like there are some commonalities, right? There are some commonalities across things, but what do you call it? Like, I'm Indian, you could throw a 7-Eleven joke at me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I probably own a few back home, but what do you call it? Anywho, we'll leave it there, dude. But dude, within the Indian race, man, there's different types of Indian. Like, I'm a specific type of Indian, and the other Indians are racist against the same folks. And I'm sitting there like, bro, come on now. Like, you know what I mean? But anywho. So, if we talk about the latter half of what you said here, you know, what I'm finding interesting about, me happening upon your page a lot is that exactly what you just said. It's like, I don't have to live the life that Kupah James is living, right? But what I do know is that motherfucker's enthusiastic about his life, right? He is not begrudgingly getting up every day and dragging himself to things. Everything is hype energy. And it's like, you would almost think that that's fake if you didn't have a taste of it, right? But you're like, no, dude, that is real. That is real. That is wealth. That is achievement. That is life goals right there. Fuck money, fuck cars, fuck all that stuff. If I could wake up with a fraction of the energy, right, that you put forth every day, then I'd be all right. I'd be just fine, right? And like you said, we're gonna get up. Even though I'm not in the gym with you, I'm not working with you, man. I'm gonna put that work in today, right? I'm gonna put it in, and that's what you and I can bond on right in this moment, right? Now,
Yeah.
when a question that comes out of that, man, a question that comes out of that is how do you stay this high energy, man? Like, what are some, like, I'm sure there's some time that you need to yourself without, noise, stimulation, things like that. But there's probably a subset of other things that keep you in this really, really energetic phase, man. Now, if you're willing to share some of the secret sauce, man, throw it out there, homie.
Yeah, I get asked, that's pretty much the number one question is, how are you so positive? And the next question is, where do you get this energy from? It seems like it's all the time. Look, I've never been diagnosed with anything that would speak to it, but if I was to throw out some sans portfolio science facts, right? It would be, if you think of the normal bell curve, you're going to have, most people are in the majority, right? And then you have your people who are super smart and your people who are really difficulties with comprehension. It's just how it goes.
Yep.
And everybody else in the middle, right? Athletics, you have your ultimate athletes, your elite, and you have people who just don't have a bone in their body for sports. You can go across the board with that. Anywhere from health to the brain, how we think about ourselves. All right. So for me, I just put a pin in, I just happen to be in the upper echelon or over here, whatever it has to be, of energy. I think I was just born with an uncanny amount of energy. So I don't know that it is something that I do. I don't take anything for it. I don't even drink caffeine because I'm just like this.
Yeah.
So, and I'm high on a regular basis. I mean, I found edibles at 33 years old. I'm now 39, and it's every single day because it helps me, real talk, it helps me calm down a little bit because I'm so hyper. So I think that's one thing, right? Science portfolio, science-wise, I think it's just, you're going to have some people who are super energetic.
Yeah.
He just happened to find two areas where he can use that shit and it works, which is music, fitness, and just overall lifestyle, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And then in terms of what do I do? What are the ups and downs like, so to speak? I'd have to kind of, again, science portfolio, I'd have to kind of speak about marketing and branding. One of the things I was raised on was reputation is everything.
Yep.
I don't know that I understood it when I was 10, but at 39, I'm like, reputation is everything. How people speak about you when you're not in the room will determine your level of success.
Yes.
And if they say and then someone in the group is like, oh, yeah, what about him?
Yeah.
Good luck. But when you say Kupah James, you're like, oh, is he the bald guy? We fuck always like, oh, right. Everybody fucking says. Everybody says the same shit, right? I mean, I got a couple of exes that would be like, yeah, I know who that is. So, but like for the most part, the brand is, the brand. So the brand is energy, positive, and so that's the brand I choose to put out. So I just don't choose to record myself when I'm on the couch watching 6 hours of an animation on Netflix. Like, I just am choosing not to be like, I've been on the couch for 7 hours watching cartoons. Like, I don't record that, but it happens. Getting high helps me relax a lot. going for motorcycle rides. But I don't have, what I'm trying to get at without talking for too long is
Do your thing, man.
what I put out there creates the brand, and it perpetuates what I'm already saying, what I'm speaking, what I'm thinking, what I'm living. People get caught up in what they're not seeing. So if they don't see you sleep, they think you don't sleep, which
Right.
is like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
for real? You know what I mean? So we're forgetting that social media was a choice for a person. A person had to put that online. That we're forgetting that that person chose not to put other things online.
Right.
So, like, the amount of relationship couples who are not happy in real life is mind-boggling.
Cringe. Big cringe, dude.
But they're not putting that online. They're not
Right.
putting it online until they break up, and then they're both
Make the
putting it
breakup
online.
video.
Yeah. So
Hey.
I don't choose to put my love life. My love life doesn't go online.
Yep,
It just
yep.
doesn't need to. It doesn't mean that it should or shouldn't. I just don't. I just haven't done that. Right. I keep
Yep.
it. I'm just a gentleman about that stuff. Right. So that doesn't go on. If I'm upset or mad or sad, it's not that I wouldn't put it online. It's that I'm, in a way, promoting to other people. You can have a sad moment, but don't stay there forever. Right.
Right.
So when I have a sad moment, I'm not even there long enough to be like, let me record this one sad moment to show people that I have sad moments. Like, and I've had managers and brand managers and agents, and they're like, you got to show more of your life. And I'm like, have you not seen my fucking story? I'm showing plenty.
Yes.
Plenty.
Yes.
Right. Like, it's okay to have okay, like, we're going to close the door here. I'll get back to you guys. I don't live to create content so that someone in Yugoslavia can be motivated by me walking down my hallway. Unfortunately, that's not why I put content online. I put content online because I enjoy sharing parts of my life and aspects of what this life is like and the grind that it entails. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I put just as much stuff about how hard this life is on my memes as much as I put out stuff that life is great. But it's like, if you're only choosing to filter it and see the positive shit, you're going to think my life never has bad moments. But if you take a closer look, like, I'm putting everything out there online. I put like memes that are offensive to everybody at one point or another. It's like, it's a free for all, bro. Like, if the shoe fits, wear it. I think.
Dude, no, all knowledge, man, all knowledge, and it's all really good stuff for me, man. And I can appreciate that, you're sharing this with me, dude. It's interesting because we live in such a cancel culture, nitpicky world, right? Everyone's trying to find out something that you're not doing or whatever you're doing. You got to put a negative slant on it. And first of all, fuck that. Like, that's toxicity. We don't need any of that, man. We're here on good vibes to build each other up, right? And then secondly, yeah, dude, you and me, we both get sad. You don't think we're not sitting here just like, just splurging all the time. But like, what we do is when we're sad, we put the stuff away. We triage the sadness, right? I remediate and I problem solve and I think of an action plan to go forward. And I will share that information with you, but it wouldn't be as polished as it was if I recorded that whole process, right? Like, I'm going to share with you the tools I use with my emotional intelligence to, be mature in conversation, to listen instead of before I talk and leave my opinion out of shit. I'll tell you that. But I do that in practice. I'm not going to record that in practice. Like, what does that mean? So, I'm resonating with all these things, man. You just got to have a hard shell up here, dude, just like let that bounce off you. But sadness, to your point, man, is a routine part of life, bro. We don't sit and get up smiling all the time. What do you think of, dude?
I want to highlight a few things real quick. One, you just dropped a couple of gems right there. So, like, and I want to co-sign them. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, listen, like, triage that shit. Like, all right, I'm having a moment, right? Pull off the side of the road, metaphorically speaking, handle that shit, explore it. If you made a mistake, be mad at yourself, regret it, right? I think a little while ago, I didn't put it on TikTok yet. It's in my drafts, but it was like, if you know anything about me, like, I regret mad shit. I'm not one of these like, oh, live without regrets. I'm like, no. Listen. I regret that shot that I took that. Yeah, like, pull off the side of the road, metaphorically speaking, or whatever, or literally, handle that shit. It's coping skills. Lucky enough, I feel fortunate. Coping skills therapy was something that was in my childhood, and I cannot express or press coping skills enough without getting too like wooey with it. But it's like, nah, listen, the ability to critical think through not just a logistical problem, but an emotional problem,
Yeah,
trauma.
yeah, yeah.
Nobody's above reproach. So I just wanted to highlight you for saying that, because triage the moment, because
Yes.
everybody's not going to have the skills you have, or maybe that I have, or whatever, because I'm not above anybody else. But my coping skills are good. I have good coping skills. So I'm able to take that thing, dissect it, maybe better than others at times. And then I act on that stuff, than to just get online and be like, blah, 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 which is also fine if that's your jam. Like,
That's your, yep.
live and let live, right?
Yes,
It's the
sir.
finger pointing. That's when I get off. It's the finger pointing, the internal, the racism you mentioned earlier. There's a lot of that with blacks as well, right? So
Yep,
like,
yep.
it's the finger pointing. As soon as someone starts doing this, it's troublesome.
Dude, toxicity lives, bro. And dude, just when you think you figured out your variables for success, you get humbled by life right away. And dude, as we go back to like when you started your fitness journey, right? And by the way, right? So me and my wife, we've been doing the Krista DiPaolo videos for years, bro. And like we're just like, man, Kupah in the back clowning all the time, dude, talking about this one punch. She's like, man, I love that punch. I'm like, dude, this dude is hype as fuck right now, But anywho. So when you first started your fitness journey, man, I'm sure you were networking and things like that, getting some, social media presence. Tell me about this emotional journey that was happening, because I know, like, when I started social media, man, I was like, dude, like a few years ago, it was only in 2020 when I started my Instagram account, but like, I would even have those inklings. I would never say anything, but like, oh, dude, I followed that motherfucker. Why isn't he following me back? Or like, like just some of the toxic vibes in the air, dude, just that you get your ego involved. And for a little bit, I stopped for like 6 months. I was like, dude, get off this. You're turning into somebody else. But tell me a little bit about that. Did you go through any of those ups and downs?
Yeah, I had an other. The Instagram account I have now is my second one. My first one was hacked 4 years ago. So I had a moment then. I also just have general thoughts about the social media thing in general, of course, right?
Yeah.
I'm right on the cusp. I was born in 82, so I'm on the cusp of, I used the phone that did this. You know what I'm saying? Like I did that.
Yeah.
I used dial-up on AOL when it
Yeah.
first came out. Like
Yeah.
that was real life. So I've seen those days, but also I see how amazing iPads are.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, why the fuck wouldn't we do this? This is great. So I love technology. So with the ups and downs of the social media, and if this lands with anybody, I'm so grateful that could be helpful, because we see a lot of the toxicity in the social media. Of course, I think, like in life, social media, what it did was, if you worked in an office space, what social media did was it got rid of all the walls, and everybody had a megaphone.
Yep.
So now you hear and see everything, right? And so I think it's important for people to create disciplines for themselves, and to avoid, certain pitfalls. It is the people who have created social media are smarter than I'm ever gonna be, and their level of comprehension is like aliens. I mean, these guys are brilliant people, and their ability
They're
to
in there,
collect
dude.
data,
Yeah.
and that they know how we eat, shit, breathe, sleep, fuck, they all of it. And so
Yeah.
they just throw it in our face all day long. They know you're feeling excited, and they show you motivational quotes. They know you're in a bad mood because they saw you at a restaurant late at night. They saw your girlfriend's post and they saw that shit was negative. They
Yep.
know you're in a bad place. And here you come get all these like relationship memes on Instagram. And so understanding that, a little bit without putting a tin hat on, just saying, hey, they're collecting data 24/7. They're always listening. And so try to remind yourself of that when you are when you're thinking of some dangerous things and things don't make you feel very good about yourself. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, listen, this thing is designed almost to make you feel euphoric, right? And like
Right.
you're on top of the world, and like you're under the church, bro, right? With no air.
Dude.
So
Spot on.
try to visualize it a little bit, and just understand that, like, hey, this is kind of out of my control a little bit. Remove the ego and
Yeah.
go, this is not helping me at all. So if you got to separate from it for a minute, again, live and let live. For me, I try not to make decisions like that. I think they're a little bit too emotional
Yes,
personally.
correct.
And like if I'm talking to a girl and then we stop talking, I don't unfollow her. Like I'm just like, whatever, bitch, live on my gram forever.
Do your
Whatever. Like,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. And now if her posts make me feel uncomfortable or I start having
Yep.
weird thoughts for whatever reason, then yeah, maybe I'll unfollow her or maybe I'll mute her account. But I try not to like, pull the trigger on being super quick all the time. But I also have enough boundaries up to know if I'm hanging out with you for the first time at dinner, and you say like 4 or 5 comments, and I'm like, me and this guy probably wouldn't get along. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not looking to keep that conversation going,
Yep.
after that night. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Find
Yep.
people that are in your tribe, but also find people that think differently, but you still share commonalities with. Because if two people are in the same room, always agree, one of you is in the wrong room. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want people to push your thought a little bit without it being like you can't say Trump or Biden in the same fucking room without people losing their minds. Like,
Dude.
calm the fuck down.
Dude, the way
Sorry, I was a bit of a
I love
moment.
it. Dude, hell yeah, man. I love it, bro. Like, I love the way you put that. That is super articulate, man. And I 100% am on the same page with you, dude. So, first of all, with this whole like ego thing, right? That's the overarching thing. That motherfucking thing will crawl back up on you when you don't even know it, dude. It'll crawl into your subconscious and you're like, dude, and sometimes I'll stop and be like, who the fuck cares, man? No one cares about your podcast. Nobody cares about it, dude. You care about it. And that's the only person that needs to care. Right. And I was like, yes, so rationalizing, trying to understand that. When is my ego coming into play? Am I trying to be better than this dude? Am I being overly criticistic about this person? You know what I mean? In a way that I don't need to be. And because if they're different than me, that's good. That's good. And I can understand that and I can learn more about it. And I try to be objective and truly get into their brain, right? Without being like, oh, that just isn't my thing. Right. And it's very interesting, bro, because not a lot of people have these types of mentalities that you and I have and are just trying to experience life, dude. And someone can go their whole fucking life with this wall up, dude. And then when they retire or they're on their deathbed, they have these thoughts like, oh man, what if I was kinder? What if I had more experiences? And I'm sitting there like, dude, that shit is today, bro. You do that right now, my dude. And good things will come to you, man. It doesn't always got to be financial and shit like that, bro. It could be just a good vibe, that's wealth to me, man. But
Hell
anyway,
yeah. Hell yeah.
But any case, man. So, what I was really interested to hear that you were just talking about is this notion of like, what I took was expectations, right? Expectations in life can really, I think, fuck somebody up. And I think if, for me personally with the social media thing, when I started, I had some expectations of it, right? Or maybe I had some expectations of my friendships and my loved ones and things of that sort. I expected them to do certain things for me or be there for me at certain times. And, when I peeled back those expectations, man, and said, I expect nothing of anyone, I expect no engagement. I expect nothing at all. I'll deal with all of it by myself. I found that I was more powerful than I've ever been, and I see you out here, man. I see you out here. You got Jenny Lynn, you got a good group of dudes and girls and, people around you, but I'm sure Kupah sometimes is in this bubble, right? And you got to protect that bubble, man. You got to protect the things that come at you and bounce off of you, dude. And like over time, man, if you can let me in on a little insight here, how do you maintain that hard shell, bro? Because I know somewhere just from the onset here, there's a soft guy in there somewhere, right? There's a softie in there, but I'm sure you don't let that out too often, right? You don't share that with too many people. So give me some of what this hard exterior is like, man. How do you form it, dude? How do you stay strong?
I think this is going to sound overly simplified, and I'll try to unpack it a little bit. For me, my strength is in my vulnerability, for sure.
Okay.
That's where my strength comes from. So every day I am unquestionably motivated by insecurities, by humility, by expectations. So I live in those spaces, they don't monopolize my mind all day, but I'm never afraid of exploring those feelings or moods or sensations when they approach. So like in the house that Kupah James built, where I live with Jenny Lynn, and what we've done together, some things that we live by is like everything in this house is a conversation. Everything.
Nice.
It
Yes.
could be why Domino's over Papa John's. And I'm like, well, I like them both, but like Papa John's has Shaquille O'Neal on the board, and he's
Let's go.
black, so black owned. So fuck Domino's, right? Like,
yes.
but it's a conversation, right? And so we talk about everything, right? Women, men, politics. It has to be explored because to me, communication, but it's everything, and not just external communication, but internal communication.
Yes.
So that goes back again, ties into the what was I talking about a moment ago? Communication with yourself, coping skills, right? So having that communication and having the coping skills. So for me, where you get the shelf from is life. Life is hard. Life's going to kick you in the dick whenever it feels like it. It's going to be unexpected, and it's always going to be like not today, right? When does bad shit happen? When you were expecting it to happen.
Right.
We don't have control over that shit. So that's just going to come, and it's going to come in flurries and combos and it's relentless, right? But the world is never going to stop spinning. So at least for me, I live in a vulnerable space where I explore all those things interchangeably all day long. I could be teaching a class of 500 people when everybody's doing burpees and they're loving it. People are shouting, and I could have an insecure moment. And I'm like, oh shit, I feel insecure right now. Like I got that guy's name wrong in the fourth row.
Okay.
2 columns over. Like I fucking called him Amar, and it's Umar, son of a bitch. And
Damn it.
And you guys are like killing it. And I'm like, and I'm in my head like, you fucking asshole, you got to get the names right, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, because that was a moment missed, right? If I had said Umar, you would have been like, this motherfucker saw me and remembers my name.
Yeah.
Right, that's the thing. So I can have that moment while I'm doing my thing, and just keep it moving, because like I'm not bulletproof, right? I feel it. I feel the shit, right? But my strength comes in the fact that like you can't always be bulletproof. Like them shits are gonna penetrate. So when they penetrate, again, triage, right? So like I do a quick triage, and then it's practice. I've been like this since I was literally 20 years old. That was 3.5 years after college, and I was a psych major, so I was very much into like how this worked. Then I found philosophy, and they all make love to me, like philosophy, psychology, life experience, nurture, nature. I mean, that's where I live. So my vulnerability is what makes me so strong. I can hold space for other men. I can hold space for women. I do not come across like a threat. And while physically I could be intimidating to a person, in person, I think I'm a relatively gentle guy. Like I'm a gentle dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. That's straight up, man. And you don't emanate any aggressive vibes, man. So I'll say that, dude. But I won't speak for anybody else though. But what do you call it? So man, dude, that this whole notion you mentioned about being a model for men, dude. That's really good. I think that's a great way to give back, man. For the longest time, even with my friends, bro, my boys, like we were not able to tell each other that we like cared for each other, like as lame as that may sound, right? Like, but it's like, dude, man, you're my best friend, bro. Like that's what's up, man. Like look how far we've come, right? We wouldn't do those things. And I would be like, man, and then, as I've gotten older, right? Like I'm 30 years old, but like, I've seen people like pass away, man. And have that moment of like, oh, I wish I wish I said that to them, and like, now it's like, you got to live intentionally, man. If you like something, say you like it. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. And if you're respectful and it checks your rubric of like Kupah's guidelines or Umar's guidelines of communication, then I'm all good. I really don't give a fuck, And I think a lot of men specifically go through their lives with this hard shell. Like my dad specifically, very infrequently, I could count maybe on one hand how many times he might have said I love you in life and things like that, right? But it's like, dude, you don't want to be laying on your deathbed not saying these things that you mean, right?
Facts.
And dude, dance in the fucking elevator, man. Like, you know, did it make you happy? Yeah, dude, I'm doing the shit I want to do, man. I'm gonna, you know, I'll go have a concert in the bathroom right now, bro. And like, well, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And like,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, that's not even a question, bro, but that's just something really like phenomenal. I think that you just mentioned was just setting an example for other men like yourself, bro. Like, be happy. It's okay, dude. Give yourself a break sometimes, you know? Like,
Yeah,
don't gotta be
It's
old.
cool to puff the chest. Yeah, it's cool to
Yeah.
puff the chest, and that's necessary at times, of course. But for sure, though, there is a we're missing half the battle. Like, how are you not? You're with your boys all the time until you get married, right?
Yeah.
It's so without being repetitive and redundant. For sure, I live in that space. One of my homeboys right now. I've told men I love them my whole life. I don't, but I was raised by women, and I was, you know, how I was raised and certain things I did as a kid really helped shape my personality and how I express myself. But expressing myself is why I have the engagement and the following I do have, because without being a role model to men, I am helping men open up and express
You
and
really are,
not feel
man.
like it's not cool. Like no, it is extra cool to do this, like to be loving and to be loved. Like it's cool. That's cool, bro. We're here for an experience. It's an experience, you know.
Yeah, dude,
And
lean
I
into
am
it.
without. Yeah, you got to lean. You got. I mean, I don't tell people how to live, but if you have to question your own happiness, if someone says, "Do you feel happy?" and you have to think internally for a second, only you know that, right? Only every individual knows that. So if I ask 10 people, they have to go, "Oh, I'm happy," or they have to go, "I'm happy." You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if you're that person, let's have a longer conversation where like you could turn that into like, yo, you could be happy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're gonna lose some things. You got to separate for some things. You got to, you know, reset the palette, if you will.
Yes,
But
sir.
on the other end, man, you could be really excited. I'm 39 years old. I live the life of a 17-year-old privileged dude. That's what it seems like. I got a caretaker and a support system and money in the bank and networks. People want me around, like in
Hell
that way,
yeah.
right? So,
Hell yeah.
and that's all from just living a life where I was an offensive juggernaut, right? But I don't pull people down to get up, right?
Yes,
If
sir. Yes,
anything, I
sir.
like to hold hands with men and women going forward. That's just way better.
It's
It just
easier.
feels
It's
way
more
better. It
fun,
just feels like,
dude. Yeah.
yeah, way more fun.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue to I think the way we can cap this off here, man. I know we're getting at time. But so one thing I'd like to ask people, and like you said, I don't always get the same answer, right? At the end of my podcast, I'll go, "Hey man, are you happy?" I'll literally ask that question. So you brought it up just now. So let me ask it to you, Kupah James. Are you happy?
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Not all the time. And you know, the mind changes like the weather sometimes, right? But like I'm living a life where I feel like I'm experiencing this blessing. I'm not super religious, right? But I'm like, listen, it feels pretty cool to be alive. And I know that only from death, right, that I've experienced on other people. And you said it earlier, I've said it in my narrative in my life, where talk to any old person on their deathbed, they're always telling you, laugh more, love more, live more, take more vacations, don't live in a cubicle, right? And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a cubicle. There's some influencers that might want to live in a cubicle. I don't know. Like it goes both ways, right? But like there's a life to live. And unfortunately, you know, they say like youth is wasted on the young or some shit where it's like, you know, you don't get that shit till you get older. And I'm like, are we, they're giving us the answers to the
They
test.
literally
It's in
are.
everything.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm just trying to explore this life and enjoy it while it's here and show up for it every day.
Well, man, hey, dude, you definitely are making the difference in one life right here, bro. I appreciate you, dog, man. That this has been
Ah,
super beneficial, man. You're the man, bro, and I really appreciate your time, dude. And dude, we got to do this again, man. We got to meet up one day and definitely like kick it for a little bit, man. I appreciate you, dog.
yeah, I would love to do that, man. Stay in touch. Let's keep it going. And I look forward to seeing this when it comes out. Happy to be here. Hey to all of Omar's people, past, present, and
Hey.
future. This guy's going places. He's going places. I liked it. I was happy to be here.